Hello.
Hello. I can't touch you this
I
time.
know. I know. It's been so long too since we've recorded.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I'm happy we're here
me too.
and definitely feel like newer versions of us have emerged since
Hmm.
being together. Yeah, you said yeah.
For
How so?
sure.
You want to
For
share how?
sure. The first thing that's popping to my mind is that I feel like just collectively as an energy and as a planet, because of the astrological signs that are happening, that we have moved into a different, I'll say, energy, because that's
Mhm.
what it feels like to me. It feels like new energy. Yes, I feel like we have entered into a different energy as a collective. I was watching this YouTube video that I was telling you about that was talking about how we've moved out of Aries being in the North Node and Libra being in the South Node. And what that meant was that we were releasing people pleasing, we were releasing relationships that were imbalanced. And then now we're flowing into this new era where Pisces is very intuitive, very spiritually connected. And she was talking about how Virgo has been seen as something that they're not because of our culture, has been
Mhm.
seen as like the control freak, basically. And
Mhm.
really, Virgo is a sign or an energy where they're the interpreter. So the
Mhm.
Pisces receives the messages and the Virgo interprets the message. And I just thought that was so beautiful. And so the way that I'm connecting with this is that I personally have felt my spiritual gifts enhance and expand.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
just some interesting things have happened where not only have I received intuitive hits, I've also had glimpses of where those intuitive hits were coming from. Like, this is going to sound interesting. I'm going to sound a little bit, but this is who I am.
Mhm.
And so I've had glimpses of like, oh, that's coming from this type of being, and this is coming from that type of being, and it's been interesting to see like something that would. This is how I like explain it. It's like my vision was here before I was looking through this scope, and
Mhm.
then now the scope has expanded, and I'm able to see like where those messages are coming from.
Yeah.
That's going to sound really spooky to some people.
Well, yeah. No, I was listening and I was like, I'm loving that she's nerding out to this. Like, so let it be. And I'm glad that you were able to talk about, okay, because you were like, so and so's in the North Node. And I'm like, I really don't know what that means. Right. But then you broke it down and you shared. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it might sound a little spooky to some people, but, we just got to learn to lean in.
Lean
So,
in.
that is a perfect transition to what has been happening with me, which is um, welcoming magic into my life. Like, I am a person who I feel like I see things, right? I see things, and that might sound crazy too, right? Um, but there are unseen things that keep this world moving, like how our hearts pump blood through our bodies. We don't see all of this. We don't see how life is created, but we know that there's a process and there's all of these things that have to line up in order for it to happen. And that's magic. Magic is everywhere, magic is all around us. And so, this leaning into the unseen, leaning into things that we might not understand, I think that's going to be so important for people as we move through these next days, years, whatever it may be, as we move through our lives, because we're
Mm-hmm.
spiritual beings, right? Our spirits are unseen.
Mm-hmm.
I heard this somewhere. Oh, it was KRS One. All right. So he said, say my name is so and so, but don't say it out loud. Say it in your head. And he was like, you heard your own voice in your head, right? So there's energy, there's information that exists outside of what we are actually hearing right now. And for us to know that that is spirit, that is all this beauty and wisdom that exists for us if we just kind of lean into the unknown
Mm-hmm.
and lean into the magic that's all around us. It doesn't have to be Disney type magic.
Right.
Magic is this, magic is science, magic is nature, magic is you and me, and the fact that we're even here,
Mm-hmm.
like 100 different miracles had to happen, right, in order for us to be. So, um, yeah, if it sounds weird,
Sounds weird.
yeah, sounds weird, right? And we're moving out of what was it? Aries and was it Libra?
Libra.
Yes, of course, because my husband's Aries, I'm a Libra. Moving out of people pleasing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're showing up as our authentic selves. And I think for a long time, as long as we can remember, we've had to show up in ways that made other people feel comfortable at the expense of ourselves. And so I totally feel that I'm moving out of having to show up a certain way in order to feel accepted or loved or understood.
Mm-hmm.
They understand me.
Mm-hmm.
And, there are people who understand me,
Mm-hmm.
and there are people who need me to stretch their awareness and their understanding. So I gotta do what I gotta do.
Mm-hmm. So be it.
So be it. And so shall it be.
Yes.
Yes.
I love how you were saying, well, we get to lean into that. Like I think that also comes with the energy that I've been feeling and that was confirmed in this video. We're gonna just put it on the screen, her YouTube, because
Okay.
I don't want to talk about what she spoke about and not credit her. Her name is Sarah, and she talked about how this is going to be a time, the next 18 months, it's going to be a time of leaning into things not being perfect,
Mm-hmm.
leaning into things not operating in a linear way, and um being okay with being in flow, being okay with like working on a project starting in the middle and then going back to the beginning and then finishing the end, or starting in like in non-linear ways, in ways that we have been told is not how you're supposed to operate and work. So I think that like that set me free because I feel like that's how I operate innately.
Mm-hmm.
If I allow myself to flow, and when I'm trying to operate in the way that I think that I'm supposed to operate, then it creates this stagnant energy, and so there's no movement. And so I'm really excited about um, what this time is going to bring for
Yeah.
us.
So I was just as you were talking about working in nonlinear ways, I was like, oh, that's where the creativity is. Like you get to be your most creative uh when you don't know the outcome, or maybe you know the outcome but you don't know how to get there. I'm thinking about I wrote a book called Life of My Dreams, and I literally had the end. I knew what the end was. I knew, and it was a process of me starting from the beginning to get to the end. And it was so much fun that I didn't write that book to write a book. I was actually writing to entertain myself. And again, it's like sometimes we are so fixated on the outcome that we don't enjoy the process of the creating, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, I'm creating this thing because I got to have money and I got to make this and I got to do that. No, it's like just create because you're a creator. Like that
Mm-hmm.
is your birthright.
Yeah.
So I'm excited because I'm like, oh, this is going to be an amazing time for creation and for
Mm-hmm.
us to just live in flow and allow ourselves to receive insight and wisdom and inspiration to guide us on what needs to happen or what's next.
Mm-hmm. You know what? It just popped up in my mind
Okay.
how I came to you and I was like, I think we need to figure out the theme of our podcast episodes. And I'm realizing how even that is like trying to create like a
Mhm.
control on it, where what if spirit's like, no, you show up and you talk about whatever comes up in flow. And it's okay that it's not this linear thought out path that you have created before you create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that that's how we balance one another because I feel like with things, sometimes I'm like, all right, I don't know what's gonna happen. Let's just go. Right. So yeah, we get to stretch. I get a little bit more of your structure and planning, and you get a little of my, I don't know. Let's just do it. Let's just do it.
Okay, so let's do this card pool.
Okay. So I had a thought before we started,
Okay.
which was I feel that I have been experiencing and witnessing just in my work and in my interactions that there's a need for encouragement. There's always a need for encouragement, right? But I think that we're heading into some times that feel really shaky to folks. And so I don't know if we're doing more than one or what, but I did feel very strongly there are some messages that want to come through to support people as they navigate. And I just heard the next 3 months.
Hmm.
So that was what I was going to share with you.
Okay. So I've been loving this deck recently, the Priestess of Light Oracle deck. Okay, so the
Mm.
first card,
Of course.
Death and Rebirth,
Hmm.
Darkness to Light.
Hmm.
The second card, Hidden Knowledge,
Hmm.
Akashic Records, Silent Understanding.
Hmm.
Whew. I don't know what you're getting, but as I was shuffling, I was thinking about encouraging words for the next 3 months, exactly what you were saying. And so, death and rebirth, this is telling me that we're going through a time of change, a time of shift, a time that could feel like chaos, that could feel like ouch. It could. Um, and I feel like this card is, to me, it's like hold the frequency, hold the vibration you want to be in. You can have this silent understanding of, okay, this is what I'm seeing in the world. And I don't have to operate in that frequency. I can hold a greater vision for the world. I can hold a greater frequency. And we are these powerful beings who can do that. That is actually very possible for us to do. And so I'm thinking about like, um, I can't remember exactly, but pendulums and how like you can bring energy to a pendulum that has a frequency that you don't want to that you don't necessarily like, but you're still giving energy to that frequency or that pendulum. If you're saying, I don't like this, and why are they doing this, and why are they blah, 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 that's still giving energy to that situation. What do you want to create? What do you want to see? Focus on what you want instead of what you don't want. We do this in goal setting. Like, even when we're working with our subconscious mind, it's like the subconscious mind doesn't recognize negations. If you're trying to reach a goal or set a goal, you don't want to set a goal of like, I don't want to be overweight. Okay, so what do you want? I want to feel healthy and vibrant in my body. And then so from there, when you're experiencing the chaos and the shifts and the tower moments, what focus on what you do want. Focus on what you already know about yourself. Who are you at your truest essence? And stand in that knowing and send it out to the world.
Ooh, well, you hit a bunch of things that were like popping up in my mind. I definitely was thinking about pendulums. I was definitely, yes. was definitely thinking about pendulums and how, and you talked about it, right? Like anything is a pendulum, right? Anything that we are talking about, thinking about, focusing on, that is a pendulum. And it creates energy around that pendulum, right? Even when we're saying, I don't like that, right? We're still sending energy in that direction. And this is a message that has been coming up for me in my work and just in general in my life about what are we building? So you talked about that too. It's like, how do we remove our energy from the pendulum of what is not wanted to what is wanted and send our energy there? Because what happens now is the energy gets removed from the pendulum of what is unwanted. And now all of the energy is sent to what is desiring to emerge. And so this awareness that there are going to be things that we see that we don't like. I even did this morning. We were on a call and I was focused in the direction of what was not wanted. And something was like, stop and alchemize that towards what you are desiring to see. And it shifted my whole mood, like everything shifted. And so I think that is a powerful reminder. We are going to see things. We're always going to see things that we would rather not, right? But let us focus on what we want to see, what we want to build. I also was thinking about, and oh my goodness, I'm going to lose it.
Say, oh my goodness, I'm going to find it and let's see if it comes
Oh,
back.
see? Oh my goodness, I'm going to find it. It's right here. It is ready to be revealed to me. Hidden wisdom. Thank you, Spirit. Hold up that.
In real time.
Yes. Yes. Can you hold up that card? So this is what we were just talking, hidden knowledge. Thank you. We were just talking about how there's knowledge, there is beauty, there's all of this information around us. And going right back to the pendulum and focusing on what isn't wanted. We can't create solutions from this perspective of the problem. So if you perceive a problem, you cannot find the solution to it from there because you're at the realm of problem, not the realm of possibilities. And so we need to really focus our energy on the unseen. What knowledge is here for us to learn in whatever place we find ourselves? And there's always something for us to learn and expand and grow into that can now give us a new perspective as we're looking at something that has seemed like a problem. And then the last thing that I was thinking about, I saw on the first card that you pulled, there was two panthers on the side, I think. Yes. And death and rebirth. And I was thinking about, again, our energy. Our energy is going to be so important in the next 3 months. Where are you focusing your energy? Death and rebirth are both beautiful because they are connected, right? Death, it doesn't mean the end. Death is just a rebirth, a new birth, something new is being birthed. But so many times we get focused on that death part that this might be a really weird thing to talk about, but it's something that keeps playing in my mind. There was a video that I watched a long time ago, and it was talking about sometimes souls who don't want to leave, right? Like they're afraid of leaving this realm, and so they kind of swirl around and create some chaos. Now, you may or may not believe that. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But what what does matter is that when we are afraid and we are too attached to a situation, we prolong the death period. And there's a delay in the beauty of the rebirth. So we have to see the beauty in the death and the beauty in the rebirth, because in the death we are being born, but in the rebirth we are on our path to another death. So it's a cycle, it's a process, and it's beautiful. And it's all here to help our souls expand and grow. So let us not be afraid. Let us know that there is something beautiful waiting on the other side, and for us to be open to see and receive the wisdom that is coming to us to support us as we're going through the portal of death and rebirth. Yeah.
Ashe.
Ashe. Those cards were powerful. Like literally, I was sitting here like, woo, woo.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I
Yeah.
saw it. I felt it.
Mm. Mm.
Hmm. There's
Okay.
also something coming to light here because like the things that are hidden are going to be revealed.
Yeah.
And that is what's gonna like cause this shift, this change.
Mhm.
Because both of these cards, like at the bottom of the death and rebirth card, it says darkness to light.
Mm.
And this
Mhm.
is hidden knowledge.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
something that's in the darkness is hidden.
Yeah.
Something that is in the light is knowledge, is known, it's
Yeah.
seen. So get ready.
So it came up again. I was trying not to say this part. I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's enough for this. But it came up again while you were saying that. And the conversation we had, was it yesterday or today? I don't know. It blurs all together. Anyway, I was sharing that I saw someone say that they were a shadow worker, and in my
Mm.
body I had this like, right? Because in the spiritual community it's all the rage to be a light worker and work in the light, love, and light. And you hear people say all the time like it's spirituality, our spiritual journeys aren't always love and light. They aren't. I mean, it's always love, but it's not always light, right? And so I saw the shadow worker thing, and then Spirit was like, that's what you do. You're lighting up the dark places. And so that I feel like is another encouraging message. You may find yourself in places that feel dark, but as long as you show up in your gifts, talents, abilities, in your light, aligned with source, you will light up those dark places. You are supposed to be there. Don't run from the dark. Don't run from the dark.
I love that.
I'm pulling from a deck that I have not pulled from with you. It's called Rooted and Growing, and it caught my eyes before we started. And I was like, am I supposed to take them out? And I took them out and I put them here. And I'm going to be pulling from Rooted and Growing.
Okay.
Okay. Spirit, thank you. Oh, okay. Thank you for being with us and just all of the encouragement that you have shared with us so far. And so we know that there is something for us in this and something for the viewer, that we are here to grow together and to hold one another as we travel through this journey, this beautiful journey called life. So we thank you now. If there's anything else, please come out. Nope. That is it. Whew. Okay.
Tell me, what is it?
The first one is being you is enough. Yes. They told you that you needed this. They told you that you needed that in order to be liked, loved, and accepted. Forget all of that. When all of this and that is stripped away, declare that all you see is enough. I am grateful for me.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
The next one that came through is everything I need is already here. These are like just right on top of each other. Like you
Mm-hmm.
are enough and everything that you need is here. There are going to be things that you experience, places that you're going to be thrown into. And there are going to be times where you wonder, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I have what it takes. And the truth is that you are enough and that everything that you need is within you. And so, again, if you search for that hidden knowledge, that hidden wisdom that is embedded into your being because you are a spiritual being having a physical experience, you are the totality of source, but just in a fragment. So, everything that source is and has and knows is available to you. It is available to you. There's nothing that is withheld from you. And so, in every situation and circumstance you are placed in, know that you are held, know that you are divinely guided, protected, and provided for. Know that you have what it takes and that your presence is necessary there, that everywhere that you are, your presence, your power, your gifts are necessary. What's happening over there with you?
I keep being reminded of what came up yesterday in that shadow worker conversation that we had, and a few other conversations that we've had about belonging and
Mm.
feeling like you belong somewhere, and how in some areas you could feel like you don't belong there, and how when we are bringing our authentic selves to a space, that it isn't always going to be received with, oh, hey, yes, with like light and love. And even if it's not received with light and love and you ruffle some feathers with your presence, like that's purposeful too. Like your light isn't always going to make people feel good. And that
Mm.
doesn't mean that you don't belong there. If you're there, you belong there.
Yeah.
And belonging doesn't come from other people welcoming you in. Belonging comes from within. Like, find ways, how can you belong to yourself? And I do feel like coming back home to yourself is a practice, is a daily practice. And can be a moment to moment practice, especially depending on the programs and the conditioning that you're working with in your subconscious mind. Um, so yeah, like I don't want anyone to get discouraged if they feel like not in their power sometimes, because that's part of the process of
Mm.
coming back into your power, of remembering who you are, and then practicing being in that vibration of that full knowing and wholeness. And the more practice that you do, the more practice that you have doing that, the easier it is for you to do that and be that all the time and everywhere you go.
Yeah. Hmm. So one of the episodes from before, we were talking about how I had a practice in the past of being put into a situation where I was really excited to be there, and then all of a sudden feeling like, oh, I don't belong, right? And that at that time I was like, okay, I'm aware of that. I know that I have to ground myself. And I recently had an opportunity to go into another space, and knew that I had to make it that consistent practice of grounding myself, knowing that I was supposed to be there, knowing what my purpose was. And it was a completely different experience. However, we still had growth moments, right? And so it was like, okay, you've grown from this place. Now there's another layer of growth that you get to experience. You can hold your frequency. You know how to hold your frequency when you're going into a space that may not fully uh understand you. And you still might feel like, why is this mic on? Can they hear me? Right. Um, but I I had another lesson that was really awesome. And that lesson was, sometimes there are people who you're projecting your insecurities on. You're projecting your insecurities on, or you might even feel something like, okay, what's this tension? Like there's something here. And when you feel that tension, lean into what your body, what your unconscious mind is trying to tell you, because you can learn. You can learn something new. And so just a brief description, I guess. I was facilitating with a group of leaders, and there was one that I was like, I don't think, like, we seem so different. And I think that she doesn't understand my magic. And I'm magical though. I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna hold my magic. And there was something that I got to learn from this individual where she does believe in magic. She does. And she also holds the world that we live in with, like, she understands that, right? And I think that her role is to hold both worlds and figure out how to navigate. And I know that there are two different worlds. There are two different realities that we live in. And my role is to hold the frequency of the world as it should be, not just the world as it is, right? Like, I can acknowledge that, but I can live in the world as it should be and hold that as an anchor as she is holding the space in between. We are working together. And so I don't know if this is going to speak to anybody, but I just felt really impressed to share that piece that, even as we know who we are and we come into a space, we're going to have people who challenge us, right? And it's important to lean in with curiosity to where they're coming from, um, and what they're holding. And what actually ended up happening in this was this beautiful, supportive relationship that I would have missed if I just dismissed her as being this. And she may have even been at a point of dismissing me for being just this. But when we understand that we're all pieces of a puzzle and it's going to look different and they have different colors and they're going to fit different ways, but we respect and honor the individual in front of us, we create beautiful, intentional community. So,
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful example of soulful connections, of being in connection with yourself, being in connection with another, and allowing those two to inform. Like the connection that you had with her informed you about yourself and some things that were like bubbling up and ready to be alchemized. And then once you alchemized it, you had space to be in connection, authentic connection with the other. And so, like, and then just the beauty of how that ripples out into the people who are around you, and then the people who they're around. And then, like, it's just this ripple effect that is so beautiful.
any big growth moments for you that you want to share?
I think what I'm experiencing now can inform what has gone on in the last month and a half. And what I'm experiencing now is we are in January, we're in winter. And, we set all of these goals in the maybe latter part of the year and then, or the beginning of this year. And then we like go for it full force. And I was about to take that approach and I took a beat back because, I was thinking about like, okay, our calendar year begins in winter. But when does it feel like a new year to me?
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like a new year to me at the spring equinox, where the weather is warmer, you hear the birds chirping, there's so much like energy and aliveness that's happening during that time. And so what I've been reflecting on is, okay, this time now of being in winter is about nurturing my body. And we set health goals in like as a society and the norm. We set health goals in the beginning of the year and we like going full force at the gym and da da da. And so I'm thinking of like softer ways to nurture my body instead of like full force, go cardio, go hit. And what feels really yummy and good, almost kind of like hot soup, if that makes any sense. And so I'm thinking of like, at this time, we build the foundation, we take it slow um, until we have the support of nature to inform our energy to amp it up when spring comes. And so I have decided that okay, I'm gonna take some Pilates classes outside of the house. It's not like hit or something that's gonna get me like like and it's something
How's it
that
gonna how's it not gonna get
no no
I'm
no no no
sorry.
no no. Oh my gosh. Think about like the audio to this who's not watching the video. God, I apologize. Um, and so, and I, to just a little backstory, I'm used to doing intense workouts at home.
Mhm.
And I haven't been feeling like doing that. And it has been a process of like not shaming myself for not doing the things that I think I'm supposed to be doing, giving myself permission to go with the flow of my body and what my body feels like doing at this time, doing what's the seemingly small things that actually give like meaningful results, which is like hydration.
Mhm.
Like, I think it can sound like you're going to spend a whole month on focusing on hydrate. Yes. Yes, we're 80% water. Hydrate. Oh my God. Okay. In fact, I believe that it is very important for us to be drinking water right now because water is a spirit
Mhm.
and water cleanses. If we're going through this death and rebirth, we really need to support the body in getting rid of the things that are not supporting us.
Mhm.
As a Reiki healer, we send Reiki to our water, and then the water is informed how we want it to be informed of how we want it to go into our body. There's a study where the person would speak nice,
Oh yeah.
positive things to the water, and it would freeze in these beautiful shapes. And then the person would speak negative things to the water and it would freeze in like smeared and not so beautiful shapes. And so what this was saying was like you can inform the water. The water is sentient. And yeah, yeah. So it it is not something to disregard to say, okay, I'm going to focus on drinking water, enough water for a month and create that as a habit if I don't have a habit of drinking enough water. And my point is that taking your like your goals and bringing them into these tiny bite-sized doable actions that doesn't like stress you out or overwhelm you in something that you feel like you can actually accomplish and really rewarding yourself with permission to do that and to reward yourself with like just not the stress of feeling like you have to do more. So, my point is that I feel like in this time I have allowed myself to do less but more in things and actions that feel like hot soup, that feel nourishing.
Feel yummy and warm and cozy. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and become a part of our growing community. Until next time.